All right. So we are recording. All right, guys. Today I have like the most, not perfect, because I know you won't like that, but you are so inspirational. But we have Erica Harris on the podcast, and I'm so excited for this episode. I feel like it's a long time coming, and I think it's so important to have this conversation. So Erica is from North Carolina, and wait till you hear her talk. Her accent is like just so beautiful. I love it. So she was born and raised, and Erica is Black.
I am.
You are. You sure are. And she is a sign language interpreter. How long have you been doing that for?
I graduated from college in 2012. So since then.
So for a hot minute. Yeah. So, and she is also a health and fitness coach. And then if you follow her on Facebook, you will notice that Erica's posts, not only are they inspirational, but they are she's very strong in her Christian faith. And it's really beautiful to watch her, witness. I love it. So, Erica, did I miss anything? Anything you want to say about yourself?
I think you hit the high points.
Perfect. So, today we are opening up the floor. We're having that conversation. It's been one hell of a week, and I'm sure I know it's been way harder on you.
Yeah, it's been rough.
Yeah, and things have really changed super, super fast in my eyes. People are having those like tough conversations, and from what I can see, it is all over social media. And I don't know, is that good? Is that bad? I'm just going to open the floor and kind of let you talk about what actually needs to be talked about. The elephant in the room, and it's racism through and through.
Yes. I think even more than racism, it's systemic racism. It's the fact that these things have been happening for years, and like 400 years, but no one has really noticed them as much as we would like for them to see it.
Yeah.
And I think the huge difference with George Floyd, because we've been seeing people being unjustly murdered, unarmed, for years now. Even before we had cell phones and could record it, we've heard in the Black community, we know the stories. We've heard about the racial profiling and the murders and all this. We know that this is going on. But I think one of the big differences with George Floyd is that America sat there and watched for 8 minutes straight and watched it happen. And I think that really opened a lot of eyes. And so it's really hard to kind of deny what's happening when it's there. And there have been several videos now of people being murdered. I mean, you can go down the line, but even here recently with Ahmaud Arbery, the job, that was very clear as well. But I think with every single murder, it's, he should have, listened to police. He shouldn't have resisted. He's a criminal and all these things. And then we get to George Floyd, and we just see this one segment of 8 minutes straight of murder. And so I think that's really opened a lot of eyes. And there are lots of conversations happening. I am a huge advocate of having conversations. In my Facebook and Instagram stories, I tell people all the time, if you have questions, please come to me. Like, please reach out to me. And there are people that do reach out to me, and we have a conversation because they're just wanting to learn. They just don't understand something. They don't understand maybe my point of view or how the system works. And we have a nice open conversation, and they leave, that much more wiser of what's going on. So I think the conversations are much needed. They're important. I'm super glad that they're happening. I still think they could be happening more. And I just think maybe we need to give it more time. That they're starting to develop now, but I'm so excited to see the shift that's happening. And I know for the Black community, every single time one of these happens, we think, oh, here we go again. But also it's this feeling of okay, when's the next one going to happen?
Right.
That's every time. So, but with George Floyd, I feel like the whole world kind of stopped.
I've
And
never seen it like this. Yes.
yeah.
I've never seen it like this.
Yep. So I'm very, as horrific as this has been.
Yes.
And it's been horrific.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of good that's going to come out of this. And for me, that feeling of, okay, when are we going to see this again? I have less of that than I usually do. So I think that things are happening and going in the right direction.
I love that. I love that. One of the things that you said, well, all of the things that you said really stuck to me. But one in particular, first I want to hit I can't even talk. Systemic racism. Can you explain that a little bit? And before you do, I kind of want to put it out there. I myself, as a white person, was so nervous reaching out to you because I keep seeing things. I keep seeing people say, it's not Black people's jobs to teach you. They're tired. And I'm like, I can't even fathom, like, you know, I can't even wrap my mind around how tired you guys must be. You know, like, it's sickening to me. Like, I never realized I was privileged. I was a privileged person. I had no idea. I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't understand it. And then I started researching, but I still feel like there's only so much you can research, and not hear it from a Black person, you know? For the longest time, I didn't know I could say Black. I always like, oh, they're African American, you can't say Black. But and then I was like, but wait, that doesn't make sense, because like what do you say? You know, what do you do? What is offensive? What is not offensive? You know, that type of thing. So before we even go on, I wish I could hug you right now, but I have to say from the bottom of my heart, like, thank you for doing this. Thank you for being this strong Black woman, such a freaking advocate. Like, it literally is, I can't even imagine what you're going through right now, but the fact that you're so willing to put yourself out there right now in a time like this, I can't imagine. I don't understand, but I'm here for it. I'm here for you. And I just thank you for taking time out of your night, a Friday night, to do this. So,
well, I mean, I can't go anywhere else. We're under curfew. So
that is true. That is true.
No, but really, I really enjoy having these conversations.
And I appreciate that so much.
And I think to an extent, yes, we are, like, we're tired.
Yeah.
I think for me personally, and let me just go ahead and say this now, I do not speak for every Black person
right
in the U.S.
Yeah.
For me, I just really enjoy having these open discussions because I think nothing changes until we actually have them.
Right.
I'm more just tired of systemic racism. I'm more tired of not being heard. So the fact that you have this platform and you've invited me to the table and we can get this out to all of your listeners, like that makes everything worth it to me. So
I'm so glad.
It gets tiring.
Yes.
At times, because I do a lot of talking on my platform. On
you
social
really
media.
You really do.
Of talking about it, but I think usually I'm not tired. I think this week, and I'll just little background about me. I joke around and say that I'm heartless because I don't cry often. It takes a lot for me to cry. The only thing I think that really gets me emotional watching a video is probably soldiers coming home. I think that's the only.
Oh yeah.
Because I used to be a military girlfriend, like way back. And so I've seen all these videos. I've watched the videos of Black people being murdered, and I don't cry because I don't like it. It needs to happen to me, or something that really resonates personally to me is what makes me. Not that I don't resonate with what's happening, but it takes a lot for me to cry watching a video. I don't even watch. I watch The Notebook dry-eyed. Like I don't cry from stuff from movies, from media. But couldn't watch the entire video of George Floyd.
I couldn't either.
And I was just crying.
Yeah.
I had to stop it. So that the whole thing has been more emotionally draining, I think, than anything, any other death that I've seen. Social media has been interesting to navigate. I'm sure it has for everybody, of course. But for me, and like the night that it happened, or the day that I saw it happen, it's always after every death that I've seen, it's this almost divide. So it's like half of my newsfeed is outraged that this happened again. And then the other half, nothing is being said at all. And it feels like, do y'all care? Do you know? Why are you silent? And so and again, I'm not speaking for every Black person. This is just Erica. In the beginning of this, I was very hurt, to be honest. If I saw that friends that I knew weren't saying anything, I was like, but how do you not say anything? Like, that was blatant. Like, that was clear as day. How do we not say anything? Sure. And I've come to realize that some people are really seeing this for the first time, like really seeing it for the first time. And a lot of people don't know what to say. Like, they literally don't know what to say. And I know a lot of Black people I've seen have said, well, how have you not seen this? This has been here this whole time. Like, I don't want to hear that you don't know what to say. But I've seen so many posts from white people specifically starting out their posts saying, I don't know what to say. I don't have the word. And I think I can't imagine if I didn't realize that systemic racism was a thing, and then all of a sudden the world's blowing up about it, and you just feel like, whoa, what's going on? Yeah. What is going on here? So I do understand that. But I think it's also important too to point out the fact that to a lot of people, like, silence does mean it feels like approval, in a way. So my feelings have kind of shifted. I know not every Black person feels that way. Sure. But I do just feel like that's a lot. That's a lot for somebody to take in. But at the same time, there are things that you can do to help us to fight this thing with us, or to show that you support us.
I love that. And I will be the first to tell you, I'm not going to lie, we learned about slaves in school, and that was all I knew. I didn't know that racism was still a thing. I had no idea. I personally just saw Black people were Black people. I had no idea that they were treated differently. When I started learning about the statistics, and Erica, I'm not going to lie, it was this week. I started learning this week. I had no idea before that. I mean, I've seen a few deaths, but I saw other deaths too. I had no idea that this was going on. And call me, stupid and oblivious and naive, but I really was not aware of that. But I don't watch the news, and I don't consume social media like that. So when all of a sudden all these people started talking, I was like, wait, what the heck happened? Like, hold up. And then I started learning, and I was like, this is so disgusting. Like, how the hell can you sit there and, like, literally not like someone because of their color? Like, how? And then I was reading the statistics about, like, literally a Black person and a white person living on the same block, and, like, banks won't loan to them and to Black people. And I was like, okay, this is literally, they make the same money. And I was just literally appalled. I grew up in a little tiny town in Iowa, out in the cornfield, and I'm going to sound stupid now saying this, but at the time, I grew up in a private Catholic school, and up till 8th grade, I never had any Black kids in my class. Never. Not once. And it wasn't until I got to school that I started meeting Black people, and I mean, it was very cliquey. It was, you had your popular kids, then you had Black kids, and then you had the nerds and the cheerleaders type of thing. It wasn't very integrated at all. So I had a Black friend growing up that I went to middle school with, and never once did we even have this conversation. I didn't even know it was a thing. So once I started learning that, that silence means approval, I was like, oh, hell no. But then I was like, well, what the heck do I say? Like, I don't even know where to go with this. And that's unreal. And that's not okay. So I started, reading books. I listened to some podcasts. I watched some movies. Movies like you can't even get through. Like, I personally am a crier. I cry over everything. I'm so emotional. But like, just movies you can't even get through. I was just appalled that things like this was even happening. So
have you seen 13th?
I have that on my list. I just watched, that's one I have a long list to watch. We're educating in this house.
Girl, get you some tissue. You're going to need it.
Yes, I have a feeling. I just watched the one with, I don't think it's Nick Cannon, but it's on Amazon. It's, I think, Just Mercy or something.
Just Mercy.
Just Mercy. Yeah, I just watched that one, and that one was tough.
That's on my list for this weekend, since they've released it for free for the whole month of June.
Yes, I love it.
It's on my list.
That one's a tough one.
But 13th is good. Is the one I recommend. 13th does the best job explaining systemic racism. When They See Us.
Yes, I watched that one.
That was a hard one. And actually, it's funny because last year on this day, I was looking at it the other day, and I had made a post saying that, okay, there's lots of racial issues that happen, and I always see a split in my news feed of people outraged and people silent. So, okay, for all you silent folks, let me tell you what's going on. There's this documentary or this series that's come out called When They See Us, and it's racially charged, and it's upsetting to us. I think you guys should be watching this too. But that came up from last year. And there were so many Black people who refused to watch it because they didn't want to be scarred, or they just knew it was going to be too hard to watch. So there are probably Black people that still haven't seen it because they just, you know what, I can't do it.
Yeah. The Hate You Give. That was another good one. That one was tough, not gonna lie. When They See Us, though, I need to watch that.
It's about, I don't know if you know what it's about.
No, I don't.
But in New York, in Central Park, there were these boys that were accused of being inappropriate with a white woman. They ended up being questioned, like taken in to the police station, being questioned, coerced into lying to the police to make it sound like they actually did it. And it shows their journey. One of them was in jail for a long time. And so these boys that were tricked into lying to say they committed a crime that they didn't do.
That's crazy.
It's pretty thought-provoking.
Yeah, definitely. So going back to that systemic racism, can you kind of define what that is a little bit and tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so basically systemic racism are the systems of America, whether it's the healthcare system or finances or even the beauty industry, things that have just been so heavily embedded with racism and privilege and injustice and things that have been set up. Honestly, things have been set up so that Black people don't succeed in a way. So, for example, I shared this video a while back, or the other day, not a while back. It's been a long week.
Yeah.
This video that showed that once slavery was over and when we were released to go out wherever, they gave us specific land. So they basically told us where to go. So we settled in these specific neighborhoods. Now we call them ghettos. They're still there.
Oh, damn.
And so when you think about it, and even, I forget there's somewhere in North Carolina where the land they gave them, it was kind of in this valley. And so that was prone to flooding. And so it was they were put in these really bad areas where it's really hard to succeed and thrive if you're set up to fail in the first place. And just so many things. So like the beauty industry is one of my favorite things. And I think most of your listeners, I'm assuming, are ladies.
Yes. Yes.
So
ladies,
the beauty industry, to me, is just so laden with just systemically, it's not created equal for us. And so one example, this is an example I have of like white privilege. Honestly, I gave this example in my Instagram stories yesterday.
Uh-huh.
Someone, instead of actually just listening to what I was saying,
Uh-huh.
they were trying to deflect and try to be combative in a way, and I ended up being called a racist, which is hilarious. That's hilarious to me. That I'm the most unracist person ever.
No, not at all.
So basically, think about it. I'll tell you about this experience that I had in Target. Everybody loves Target. Went to Target one day, and I don't know why I was there, but I went by the Band-Aid aisle. I didn't need Band-Aids, but I went to the Band-Aid aisle. And they had Band-Aids that were my complexion. They could blend in with my skin.
Yes.
And I flipped out because I thought, I've never, ever seen in real life a Band-Aid. I heard they existed, but I've never seen a Band-Aid that was made for my skin tone. I was so excited. I was excited over a Band-Aid. So if you've never thought about the fact that Band-Aids don't match you, that's privilege.
Yes.
Another example, I used to subscribe to the beauty subscription boxes.
Yeah.
That you got Ipsy. That was the one that I got. And I loved getting that little package every month.
It's fun.
But the lip colors they gave me never worked for me. They were always nude, and I'm doing air quotes for nude, but they would be so, it was like I put my lips in flour. And it was absolutely horrific.
Oh my God.
I'm like, so it'd either be these bright colors that didn't work or these nude colors that weren't nude for me. And so typically in the beauty industry, flesh tone does not mean my flesh.
Yes.
It means the standard. It means the European version of beauty. It means white. And I remember years ago, there was something going around Facebook, like back in the day, or Twitter back in the day. And it said that the definition of nude was to have light or pale skin, and that was in Webster's dictionary. And I was like, there's no way it says that. And I went and looked, and that's what it said. It's been changed since then. They have changed it. But even the concept of nude, if you can go and find nude pantyhose, the first time I saw chocolate color pantyhose was like 2 years ago.
Right.
And I went in CVS and thought, they have chocolate pantyhose. And they had different hues of darker complexion pantyhose. And I thought, this is amazing. Because it used to be just nude.
Yeah.
They may have had like black and a white, but nude for me does not mean nude for you.
Right.
So I don't meet the standard that's out there for nude in the beauty industry.
I can see where you're coming from. And I can imagine like, things like foundations. I do, just thinking about it. And like I said, I've never thought about this before. And that's my freaking privilege. And that right there, I think, is that the definition of checking your privilege, realizing and recognizing that? Is that what that means?
Yes.
Okay. And shame on me for never even thinking about this, but like foundations, like at Target, if you go to Target, like they don't have, I've never seen darker colored foundations that would match, right? Do you have struggles with that?
I'll tell you my first, because I love makeup.
Yeah.
I started in makeup. I was buying e.l.f. And if you guys remember back in the day, e.l.f. is still inexpensive now, but e.l.f. was like $1. The $1 makeup. I think their foundation was like maybe $5 or $6. Mm-hmm. It was super inexpensive. I remember I placed this order on e.l.f. and I ordered the darkest foundation they had, and I brought it home, and it did not work. It was way too light.
That is even freaking unreal.
Yeah. Even bronzer. I remember buying bronzer one time, and that's a highlight. It's a highlight to me. It's not a bronzer to me. It's a highlight. And so that's why when Rihanna came out with Fenty, it's mind-blowing. When Rihanna came out with Fenty, I said, take my money, please. But not only did she focus on darker shades, she made a huge range, and she was just inclusive as all get out. But the idea that, like, my first foundation, I couldn't wear it. I can't go to a drugstore and find foundation because the darkest you have is probably not gonna fit me. That has changed a little bit. There are companies that make more, but it's not like every foundation shade or every foundation company brand does not apply to me.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. And that
Wow.
I was mad about that for years.
I bet. I can't imagine not being able to just, go and pick out whatever you need from
like
the
for
drugstore.
years, I
That's
just did
just
eye
insane
makeup.
to me.
I only did eye makeup. CC and BB creams, forget it.
Yeah.
I've yet to own one.
Okay, so next thing I really want to hit on is like your personal experiences with racism, whatever you kind of want to share there.
Yeah, so I think it's important to remember that not every Black person's experience is the same.
Sure.
My experiences I don't have a ton of, for example, run-ins with the police. And
Right.
actually, just this week, I've been thinking about my run-ins with the police. I've had two. One was me, it was all me. And one was, I was there, but it wasn't directly at me, but I was there. So I'll start with the one that happened directly with me.
Yeah.
I was driving over the speed limit in a school zone. I didn't even know that was a school zone. I completely forgot. I wasn't even thinking. And so I think another example of white privilege, I think sometimes it's not just that you're white, you have these privileges. It's that you're white and there are things you don't have to think about.
Yes.
And so immediately when I get pulled, my mind is, oh crap. Honestly, when I'm driving and there's a cop behind me, like it's just this your body just kind of tenses up and it's just like, am I going to get pulled over? What's like, because Black people have been pulled over for having like the graduation hat tassel on their mirror. And the police have told them, oh, it was obstructing your field of vision. And we had to make sure that you could see. Like people have been told that for real. So they could pull me for anything. So just that feeling of, oh crap, what are you going to pull me over? And so when they finally pass you, it's okay.
Breath of fresh air. Cool. Yeah.
So got pulled over. My automatic thought was make sure he can see your hands. Be as pleasant as possible. Smile.
Yeah.
Be nice. Be pleasant. My dad had always told me, I don't know if this is just if everybody does this, but he made a point to tell us to put our registration in the visor and make sure that the police can see you take it down if you were ever to be pulled over. Sure. Like don't make it sound, don't pull it from anywhere else, pull it from there. And so that's one thing too. I made sure he saw it. When he told me I was going over the speed limit, I just had to make sure that I was super like, I'm so sorry. Oh my God, was I? Oh my, which I mean, that was true. I didn't realize I was going over the speed limit, but like really making sure it's obvious that I am sorry. I'm not doing anything. Like, please don't kill me. Please don't. Because I mean, there have been people who have been pulled over for one reason and been shot, Sandra Bland. So it's that feeling of, I need to make sure that I am going above and beyond to be nice and respectful and make sure they know that I am not a threat. Make sure they know I'm okay. Like I'm good. I'm not doing anything wrong. Like, please don't let this go south.
Right.
So that was that experience. But in high school, I even forgot this happened until 2 days ago. And I was just like, oh my gosh, that really happened. So in high school, it was fourth period. I didn't have a fourth period class. And I had a friend who, a male friend, he was mixed, Black and white. And he didn't have a fourth period class either. But that particular day, he just hung around with me. I didn't have a car, so I had to wait for the bus to come. But he had a car, and he was just going to hang around with me for a bit. So we're just in our back parking lot of our school. And I'm born and raised in North Carolina in a country county, not the most unracist place in the world. Okay. So I remember we were just standing back there talking, and this police officer comes up to us and is asking if we've seen this guy they were looking for some guy that had done something. And we're like, no. And he kept asking my friend, he kept asking my friends questions. And I'm thinking, like, he's not, do you know who this is? Like, this is the biggest goofball ever. Right. He's not doing anything. Next thing I know, my friend is like up against the car, hands behind his back. And I'm just kind of like, what in the world is going on? And then it took me until I graduated high school in 2008. It took me till 2 days ago to realize he was racially profiled. He was restrained for no reason at all.
So what you're saying racially profiled is that the cop saw that basically he was black, and that's why he put him up against the car. He automatically assumed that he was doing something bad.
Or that he was this particular person they were looking for.
Right. And that's kind of what happened with, I don't remember his name, the black guy that was jogging. They just automatically, thank you. They just automatically assumed that, he was their suspect. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's a good case of the racial profiling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even in that case, it's still, the jury's still out on that one, because we've found out, like, the man that shot Arbery was an ex-cop, and they had some dealings in the past.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
and like that's what we just found out about George Floyd, right?
Yes.
And so, like, I mean, gosh, geez. And
even the hearing they had with the Arbery case yesterday, it's come to light that there were some racial slurs that were used after he was shot.
Jeez Louise.
So yeah, that one runs a little deep.
Yeah, I just can't. I can't.
But then to think about it, though, like these things have literally been happening for years. We just didn't have a camera, and these are the stories that I've heard my entire life. So to think about it, the way you've grown up, you didn't have any contact with a black person. At the same time, you have black people telling their children these stories, and we hear these things, and like we know this is it. Like this is the case. So it kind of makes me think when people say, well, I'm going to teach my children to love everyone. I don't know if that's enough, honestly. I think we have to teach them to be anti-racist, to dismantle this systemic racism that's been up for so long. And I think one of my pet peeves, I think people mean well, but this can be taken as a microaggression for people to say, well, I don't see color.
Yes.
No, you're going to see this brown. It's a beautiful shade of brown.
Yeah, I don't get that either. That I don't see color. I'm like, but you do. They're black. And I was guilty of the past of saying that too. Like, I don't see color, but I never recognized that meant like I don't see who you are, which is you're black. And like I feel like when you say I don't see color, it's making it sound like there's something wrong with your skin color. Because it's very obvious. I can see black and white,
Yes.
So I can see where that is, that microaggression there. I get that.
Yeah. I think the people are trying to say, I don't treat you differently because of your color.
Yes.
Because to say you don't see it, like it kind of discounts all this stuff, everything about who I am.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I have so many layers to me, and being black is such a huge chunk of who I am.
Right.
Huge. It's my culture. It's how I got to this country. It's the things I've experienced. So I can't neglect that. So I don't want anybody else to either. And plus, I mean, brown it's especially up against yellow, like brown and yellow together, sunflower.
It's gorgeous. I love it.
It's stuff.
Okay. Yeah. That kind of leads me to my next thing. Like I said at the beginning of this podcast was, that I just learned that you can call people black. Like I didn't know if that was offensive for the longest time, like, and then you had just said brown, is that like, is that hurtful if someone calls you black instead of brown, or like, where is that line at? Is there a line there? Yeah.
Yes, that's the big question. What do we say? I think you can, first of all, just ask the person what they prefer.
Yeah.
Most of us are going to say black.
Right.
Unless maybe somebody's actually from Africa. Like, I mean, I'm originally years and years ago from Africa. Yes. But some people are actually Nigerian and they live in America.
Yeah.
Or they're from Ghana and they moved to America. So they're actually, they might use the title African American. It just depends. I also see a lot of people, and I'd say this all the time too. I'm starting to change it to say POC or person of color.
Right.
And really, that's this big umbrella statement that can
Yes.
include any kind of black or brown, as we say, brown person. So whether that be black, Hispanic,
Right.
anything that's not white, I guess,
Yes.
as a person of color. But I would encourage everyone, if you're talking about a black person, you can say black person. The only thing that kind of makes me feel some kind of way is like blacks, like the blacks.
Gotcha.
That personally, I just kind of feel like, you can just say black. That's okay.
Right.
That's
Gotcha.
okay.
Gotcha.
So yeah, black is totally acceptable.
Okay.
But
like
also,
that.
I mean, if somebody is calling themselves African American, then, you know, by all means, I think especially now, I've seen more people leaning towards saying black.
I have too. I've really noticed, you know, people calling it that, you know, calling you guys that. And I love that that's finally coming out in conversation. For the longest time, I've been seeing posts that said POC, and I didn't know what it was. And now I understand it's person of color. And now I'm seeing it more BIPOC.
It's, oh man, that's, you asked me that. It's black, I think indigenous.
Person of color, maybe.
Hold on.
Okay.
Maybe. That's a newer term that's been coming up. Yeah, black indigenous people of color.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then real quick, I want to address this like super, super briefly, but I don't want to get into it too much. And it was the Black Lives Matter versus All Lives Matter.
No,
I'm
goodness.
so tired of seeing it, and I can't even imagine. And I'm sure you're tired of freaking seeing it too.
Yes.
I understand why Black Lives Matter. I understand why all lives matter. And I understand that all lives matter is not the point right now. I'll kind of, what I have read that makes a lot of sense is, have you seen the memes go around? I don't even know if it's called a meme, but about the fire, the house on fire.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so 2 houses side by side. One's on fire, one's not. And one person, or the fire department shows up, and they're putting out the fire on the house that's on fire. And the person's house that isn't on fire, who is white, they come up to them and they say, why aren't you watering my house? And they're like, well, that's because your house isn't on fire. And I thought that was so perfectly put. I really loved that. It made that analogy. And way back when, I don't know how many years it's been, but I can't remember if it was Trayvon Martin.
Trayvon Martin.
Okay, was that the kid that was shot in St. Louis? Do you remember?
This was Florida.
Florida. Okay, that's not who I'm talking about then. It was in Ferguson, Missouri. And it was a black kid who was shot. And when I heard about that, I couldn't believe it. And of course, everybody was outraged, right? And right. Then like it had came out that like,
that was Michael Brown.
What's that?
Michael Brown.
That's what it was. Then it came out that like maybe he had a gun or something like that, and that's why he was running. And then it turned into, well, he was charging at the cop, and that's why the cop shot him, type of thing. But there was lots of riots and protests in Ferguson, Missouri at that time. And I know we kind of got a little bit off topic of the Black Lives Matter, but I just had thought about this. And at that time, there was like lots of riots and protests, and like what we're seeing now, but we're seeing it all over, the United States. And I believe I just saw that in all 50 states, we have protests. Like, yes, that's amazing. That's so beautiful. But like with the looters and the businesses that are being broken into, and, lots of fires started. Can you just kind of speak on that a little bit? Like, why you think that that's happening and why it can be a good thing? Do you think about that at all?
But real quick, I did see today somebody post something that really beautifully explains not just Black Lives Matter versus All Lives Matter, but how it feels to be told All Lives Matter.
Yes, I would love to hear it.
Because if my spouse comes to me in obvious pain and asks, "Do you love me?" an answer of, "Well, I love everyone," would be truthful, but also hurtful and cruel in the moment.
Yes.
If a coworker comes to me upset and says, "My father just passed away," a response of, "Well, everybody's parents pass away," would be truthful, but hurtful and cruel in the moment. So when a friend speaks up in a time of obvious pain and hurt and says, "Black Lives Matter," a response of, "Well, all lives matter," is truthful, but it's hurtful and cruel in the moment. And so I think that's the thing that has really bothered me on my newsfeed, is seeing so many people argue the fact that, well, all lives matter. And that I'm literally saying, but I'm personally telling you that I don't feel like I matter in this country.
Yes.
Does that not? So why, every time I say that, why is that your response to my pain?
Right.
Kind of thing. And there's this one picture that's going around, a depiction of what it looks like, how it feels. It's a Black woman standing there, and somebody's, a white hand is coming across her mouth and silencing her. And so that's what it feels like. I know people are hung up on I think they're hung up on the terminology, but I don't think anyone's thinking about how it feels to hear someone deflect, because it's the biggest deflection ever. I feel like I don't matter. Well, all lives matter. Well, I'm telling you right now, I don't feel like mine do. My life does.
I like that a lot. And where I was going with that Michael Brown thing was, when it had came out, I don't know if this is what had started the Black Lives Movement, but this is when I had first heard about it. And I am going to admit, my I don't know if it's my privilege here or just my ignorance here, but I'm going to be honest for a second. And when I heard about Michael Brown and everybody was mad, I'm like, he literally did something wrong, and that's what I was told by the news. I was like, first off, whether the person was white or Black, I don't think that their life should have been taken. But I also understand and recognize that if they were coming towards the cop and the cop thought he had a gun, I could see why the cop shot. And if it was a white person, I would hope the cop would do the same damn thing because they're feeling threatened. And so that was the first time I had heard about the Black Lives Matter. And I was like, okay, I don't get it. I don't get it. All lives matter. That person, whether they're Black or white, they should have, not that they should have been shot, but I could get why the cop shot. And now I get it. And I hear it. And so, I mean, it makes me sick to kind of say that out loud, that's where I was, but
that's what a lot of people today.
I had no idea. I know, I had no idea, and I'm like, God, you're stupid, sir. But like, really, I didn't understand it. I didn't understand it at all, and so I'm really glad that I've seen things come out saying how beautiful it is to, when you first learn something, and it's just like in the medical community, when you first learn something, there's updates that come out, right? And you learn more about it, and then more updates come out and you learn more about it. So I am glad I'm not where I was, even though I'm embarrassed that that's where I was. But the more I learn, the more I can grow as a person. And I think that these conversations, and getting really vulnerable, and even, white people recognizing like, okay, well, that was kind of racist of me. And now I know, and now I can recognize that, and now I can grow from it.
Yes. I've had a Facebook friend actually come out and say that they have kind of just been thinking about their life and have realized how much they've had to unlearn, that they thought, maybe when they saw a big Black guy, they maybe thought, well, let me move to the side or move my purse over. They thought those things. And now let me go back and unlearn this. And to me, that's boldest things you can say. So in my lifetime now, I've heard of 2 people saying or admitting out loud, I used to have racist tendencies. That's what I was taught to believe. Now I am consciously unlearning that.
Yeah.
And I think that's just great for you to be able to admit that.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when Black people are listening and watching.
I hope so.
That takes a lot of guts.
I hope they do. I hope people listen. I appreciate that. And it's just my own ignorancy there, to be honest with you. And I have a feeling I'm going to get hate for it, and that's okay because I probably gave hate. So I mean,
but I think you're ignorant of something until you know about it. So for example,
when you know better, you do better.
Yeah. So I'm a sign language interpreter.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything about deaf people and sign language until I got to college. That's a whole nother story. But so now, it used to be when I was out freelancing, so I would go to hospitals, doctors' offices, do vocational settings, and people would say ignorant things, and it used to drive me up the wall.
I've seen some of your posts about it. You're like, deaf people can still see you.
We're like, did you drive them here? No, actually.
They can drive themselves.
They have a master's degree. I can't help it. But then it used to really work me up. And then I realized they don't, like, Erica, you went to school for this. That's how you know this. They didn't go to school for this. They've never even met a deaf person. So I can't really hold it against you. Now, if I tell you something and then you refuse to listen to it, you're just going to keep being ignorant. But you can't know something until you know something, Right. So I think with all of this, there's so many people whose eyes are finally opening up to all this is happening. I say, thank you. Great. You're unlearning stuff because it's systemic. It's so ingrained in our society. So you're going to have to unlearn some stuff. But as long as you agree to unlearn some stuff, that's great.
Right.
It's great. Right. You're going to be ignorant until you know better. And that's okay.
I love it. I always felt very judged when, 5 years ago, I said one thing and now all of a sudden I'm saying another. And I'm like,
it's called growth.
I know that now, but I was like, man, I can't admit that out loud because people are going to be like, oh, so you changed your mind? Well, yeah, I changed my mind. I learned something. Like,
that's right. Tell them.
Do you have anything that you want to hit on before we kind of open it up for questions? More questions?
So one thing I will quickly say, because I know this is probably a question of what people can do.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
And so I think research as much as you possibly can. And I have had people ask me for suggestions on books and movies and stuff. And I've put it out there, some suggestions. My top suggestion is 13th, the documentary on Netflix. That's the number one thing I always recommend to people. Number 2 would be to have conversations like we're having now. And I encourage you to think, I think a lot of people might think that they're, I'm not racist and I don't have racist thoughts and I don't have any bias. But I encourage you to think about, what does your news feed look like? Who do you follow on social media? If everybody looks like you, think about the information that you're getting. It may not be as diverse as you think. So take an assessment of your social media and see. Now, I'm not telling you to go just start randomly friend requesting Black people.
Sure.
That's a little weird.
Yeah.
But think about it. If your newsfeed has not blown up with this, when the killing happened, not when the looting happened, because a lot of people were silent with when the killing happened, they're up in arms over the looting. We'll get to that in a minute. Yeah. But when this happened, because like I said, usually when an unarmed Black person dies, particularly by the hands of the police, there's half of my newsfeed that's livid and the other half is silent. And so I wonder, are their news feeds silent too? Does this break the heart of the people who are closest to you? So something to think about. Also, I see a lot of people say, well, it's not Black people's job to educate, people.
I have seen that a lot.
So I have 2 responses to that. I think there's some of us who love teaching. I think I'm getting it's sometimes it can be exhausting.
I can imagine. I'm sure you're very overwhelmed.
I'm charged and pumped about this. But because sometimes people don't perceive it well, like the girl that called me racist yesterday. That's hilarious. So some people do not mind speaking out. Sure. And this is what we do. But on the other hand, I do have the question for people who are asking for resources. Have you Googled it?
Yes.
Have you looked it up? Because especially right now, if you just Google books on racism, books for white people, podcasts, movies for white people, movies for white people, blowing up. Another one that's one of my favorites is Dear White People. It's a Netflix series and it's a movie.
You know what? I keep seeing that too. I'm gonna write that down.
Now, if you don't like, I forget what it's rated, but it's not PG-13.
Oh, so, girl, I don't care.
You listeners, if you rather just have PG-13 stuff, then don't watch when they Dear White People. But Dear White People is kind of a satire too. It's kind of it's meant to be fun, but it's true. I love Dear White People. But I would just encourage you to look it up. There's a book, White Fragility, that
I've seen that going around.
I've not read it.
Okay.
Because I never thought to read it. I probably should. But I was just saying, especially now, especially with Blackout Tuesday that just happened, that encouraged a lot of people to get educated, get involved. There are tons of lists out there.
There really is.
For that. So I'm kind of half and half on that. Some people are willing to teach, but on the other hand, you can just Google it, and see what's out there,
right?
And have the conversations too. That's a huge resource because there are things in someone's life, lived experience that you aren't going to get from a book.
Yeah, I really do love that, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I had reached out to you, because I knew I had some questions, and I was like, I've Googled this and it's not pulling up with what I need at this time. So anyways, I appreciate that a lot. We were going to talk about looting and then we'll go to questions. I'm going to tell you real quick about what I think real quick. At first, I was really pissed off. People were burning down businesses. I don't agree with it. I think it's really screwed up. But then on the other hand of that, I also read, I don't know how true it is, but I also read that people were paying, there was protesters that were getting paid to actually do looting and stuff like that. I don't know the truth behind that, so I hate to put it out there, but might be some our people can look into. But another side of it that doing research, I have realized is that whenever big issues arise, and obviously this is a huge issue, protesting, whether it's violent or peaceful, gets attention. So the looting and the breaking in, and in the past, that has been successful. So I would just love to hear your opinion on that.
Woo. All right. From a personal standpoint, you are not going to see me looting.
Hell no. I definitely know that one. You ain't going to see me out there either.
I'm not. And honestly, I'm conflicted about protesting for the simple fact that as soon as something pop off, I'm out. I'm a punk. I don't want to be shot. I don't want to be tear gassed. I understand people that are saying, you know what, if that's what it takes for me to make a point, then that's what I'm going to do. And hey, go for it, my brother. Go for it.
I will support you from afar.
There's a meme going around saying do not criticize another Black person's their choice for how to protest. Yeah. If you want to go protest, that's fine. I'm conflicted about going myself. I would love to go. But at the same time,
it's really freaking scary.
It is. Like I'm not one of these bold Black people that's just ready to go and protest. I want to, and I might end up. My mother's going to flip out. She's going to have a panic attack. But
Oh gosh,
seriously
maybe
considering.
maybe you should like tell someone else and then tell her after when you're safely home.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell her, Mom, I hope you're not listening to this right now. But I think one thing that's important to remember is that no matter how we protest, it's never going to be acceptable. And if you think all the way back to Rosa Parks, when we look back at that, we think that was a peaceful protest. She was a peaceful woman. We think about Martin Luther King Jr., and I think that's the person white people specifically want to throw out during this. But Martin Luther King Jr., he was peaceful, and he believed in peaceful protests. Let's not forget that they shot him. Let's not forget that Rosa Parks, although we look back and say that was peaceful, when she did it, she was breaking the law, for one. And number two, that was radical. That was completely radical for a Black woman not give her seat to a white man. That was radical.
Yeah.
So, but we look back on that and think that was peaceful. Colin Kaepernick, my man, I love dearly. We are going to look back on this in 50 years and say, wow, that was peaceful. That was peaceful. So when you think about it, all the protests that have happened have been condemned.
Yes.
And I think somebody put this really clearly. I think if you have a child, and I'm in no way saying that Black people are acting like children, but if you have a child and something's bothering them, they're being bullied, and they just take it, and they try to, speak out against it, and they're not being heard, they're eventually going to lash out. They're going to do something to make sure that you're looking at me. So on one end, I believe that a lot of the looting and the rioting is this very fact that you're not listening to me. Martin Luther King Jr. said that rioting is the voice of the unheard.
Yep.
So we're going to do something to make you pay attention. And people have paid attention. Attention. I think one main reason why people were so mad and still being so vocally just protesting and rioting is because with George Floyd, there were 4 police officers involved in this, and only one was arrested. Where's the justice? So this is constant screaming out for justice. But I think on the other side of this, and I don't know what your newsfeed looks like when it talks about looting. When my newsfeed shows something about looting, it's usually not a video of a Black person doing something bad. There have been videos of white people dressed in all Black going to be destructive, and there's so many videos of police officers, like the video of the man today. I think it was yesterday or maybe the day before. This elderly man in New York, he wasn't doing anything. The police officer just knocked him down. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I did see that actually. I have such a hard time believing any video, if I'm being honest. I try not to really create a thought when it comes to those videos. Not just that one in particular. I'm talking about videos overall, whether it's, for Black people, for white people, for whatever. I have a hard time believing any of this shit because honestly, the media is going to give you what they want you to see. At the end of the day, they're going to twist and turn things however it is. And it's like, you don't know what happened before that video. You don't know what happened after that video. And I mean, just like with your saying about, the white people going in, I saw people just breaking into Victoria's Secret and taking clothes out. And I'm like, it doesn't even make any sense to me. But I saw that same video that you had saw, and I was like, this doesn't make any sense. But I feel like we will never know the full story there with any video that is out there, like with George Floyd's death in particular. Like, we saw that video, and then I think it was afterwards it had came out that all of the officers were just standing around watching it, and we didn't even get the full picture there. Like, and I mean, not that we need to, but.
Well, I think we do, because I think for a lot of these murders, like with Arbery, with this shooting, I feel like that's one of the main comments that comes out when there's videos. It's, oh, we don't know what happened before or after.
Uh-huh.
But to us, it's clear. And so even with the Arbery case, people wanted to know what happened before that. But so now we do know what happened before that. We know that he was basically chased and hunted down. And with George Floyd, there have been videos that come out since then of what happened right before that. Because you see a video of him not resisting arrest.
Right.
Like you see him upright, you see it leading to that. And I think even if he was resisting, though, it did not warrant him
that. Nope. Yeah, it's like what happened to innocent until proven guilty.
That's a white privilege thing.
I've never understood that. Like, especially in George Floyd's case, when I saw that, I was just like, I mean, he's not once moving. He's specifically saying, like, I can't breathe. And I want to bring this up real quick. You hear, I believe you saw and you hear in the video, Black people standing around and they're filming it. And I know why I feel like I know why they didn't get involved. But could you address that? That, you know, that the same thing what I'm assuming is that if they do get involved, like I've heard people say, like, well, they're just standing around, they're not doing anything. There's 4 other police officers there. You know, like they turn the camera and they show that. So if they get involved, the same damn thing's going to happen to them.
Very possible.
Correct?
I was having this conversation with another person of color. They weren't Black, but they were a POC. And they were saying, man, if I was there, I would have, you know, just interceded. I don't know why they were just sitting there recording. And I said, honestly, if it were me there, I probably would not have done that because I would have been afraid of what would happen. And they said, well, we're the same. I'm like, no, we're not. We're not the same. But I think the woman, she was a young woman that recorded. If we didn't have that recording, none of this would be happening. There'd be no justice at all. If there was a recording for Arbery, as crazy as it is how they have the recording, that like their friend is the one that recorded it and he decided to release the footage because he thought they would help his friend prove his innocence. Stupid. But I'm glad you did now because now we have
got to that.
And I think about we haven't mentioned Breonna Taylor, who's another recent death.
God.
If we had video of that, but I mean, who has a video on when they're asleep at night and someone breaks into your house unannounced?
Right.
So I think that having the videos there is very important. It's helpful for our cause. But at the same time, like they were shouting at them, you know, please stop. You're killing him. That would probably be what I would do. Because, I mean, I'm not even going to protest because I'm afraid I'm going to get hit by a bullet. So I'm not about to run up on a cop.
No.
And try to tell them what to do. I do want to make this very clear, though. I'm not saying that all cops are bad. I don't know if anyone is really saying that. There are some people that might be.
There are.
The issue is the system itself.
Yes.
And if you remember, like back with the civil rights movement, officers were the one that were hosing us down. Like they're the one that were directly opposed to us. So it's systemic. It's the system. When I still see a police officer, I might tense up, but I'm still going to assume and give you the benefit of the doubt that you are in place to protect me. I have, I know in particular one person on my friends list. She's a Leo wife. And I would not doubt that he's probably super nice. I don't think I've met him, but I'm not saying that I look at him and say, you're a terrible person and you're racist and you don't mean me any good. I don't think that at all. But I think it's important to understand I was just in a group chat with a couple of guys, Black males. Every run-in they've had with police has not been good. Whether it's that they've been pulled over for no reason or racially profiled. So you have this group of people who are known to have these bad interactions with the cops, and not necessarily that it's their fault. They could be driving down the road and have something hanging on their rearview mirror, and they accuse them of it obstructing their sight. So I think it's systemic. It goes all the way back to the people in power who have not always been for us when things were clearly overtly racist. And so trickling down now to we have an ex-cop who's using racial slurs against a guy he just shot, that he just chased down. So I think it's important for people to realize that, like, people have reason for not liking cops. It's not like, we're not saying that every cop is bad. I'm not saying it. I'm not every black person. But you got to remember, this has been going on for years.
I agree. One of the things, so one of the things that I've seen going around is the cops during the protest joining in on the protest. And to me, I see it and I think that's beautiful. Now I've seen other things going around, like, it's like your abusive ex-boyfriend or your abusive boyfriend hurting you and then bringing you flowers saying, I'll change. What do you feel about that? Like, what's your stance on that?
I see both sides. I think it is important that people realize, like I just said, that it's systemic. And so it kind of almost feels like, in a way, that let's just have this nice photo opportunity and everything will be all better. When really, like, let's get down to the heart of the matter and really dive down into the issues.
I wonder, like, with that, like, I don't mean to play like devil's advocate or anything. I'm just curious. Right. Like, I'm wondering, like, because, we're not there. Again, this is one of the things with media I hate. I wonder how much of it really is a photo op. And I wonder how much of it that we're seeing and we're not seeing, since we're not there, how much, because one of the things that really struck me, I think it was in Flint, Michigan, the sheriff literally got his whole police department and they joined in and they had that conversation there. So, I do wonder, like, how much of it is real and authentic and how much of it is just a photo opportunity. I know in Iowa, my home, in Burlington, Iowa specifically, one of my girlfriends actually streamed a peaceful protest, and it was really beautiful. And she actually, like, had went up to cops, I believe. I'm not for sure, but I'm pretty sure she went up to cops and actually had conversations, and they were there. So she was at this peaceful protest, and she approached the cops and had conversation with them. And, a lot of people had conversations with them, and that seemed very genuine, So I guess that's my thing. Like, I wonder how much of it really is genuine and how much of it is just a photo op. I hope, that it.
Yeah, I think conversations are needed.
Yeah.
Like, have a conversation. But I'm not sure.
I guess my thing is, I wonder if they even know. Like, some of the cops, like, I wonder if they even know they're getting pictures taken, type of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if they're, like, in conversation and they're not posing. The ones that I see aren't posed, is what I should say.
Like, I think the sentiment is genuine. I think people are trying to build the bridge between the general public and the police, and for officers to show people, hey, like, we're not all bad. I actually got a badge to protect you. And then community members recognizing that and saying, okay, let's build the bridge. I just think there are better ways to build the bridge. I think if it was just conversations, speaking out against the quote unquote bad cops that are out there, like taking a stand and saying this is not okay. I think overall systemic, what's the word? Just repairing the system. Because that's what we want, really. Right. That's the whole goal.
Do you see it as, like, I guess, like, only time would tell? They're saying things, they're speaking up against it right now, and then, like, basically having their actions match their words down the road. How much of it is truly true?
Because even though this has gotten widespread attention, I mean, across the world.
Yes. Yes.
I'm still thinking in the back of my mind, because this is how I think with every shooting, I wonder how long it'll be before it happens again.
Right.
So, like, are we truly going to learn from this?
Right.
Will there be more? I don't know what they need to do to just fix it. I don't know.
Yeah.
More, I've heard maybe do more psych evals, more mental health checks with officers.
Yeah.
Something. I think systemically there needs to be something that happens.
Right.
I think having the community, join hands with officers. I think it looks great.
Yeah.
It looks great. And I'm not saying I'm not as against it as some people. And I think people are, your feelings are valid. But I just think a better way to do this is to fix a broken system. Because a picture is not going to fix a broken system.
That makes sense.
Even before all this happened, you would see pictures and videos of a cop going over to a basketball court and shooting hoops with a group of Black teens. But that was supposed to rebuild trust in a way. That was a symbol of, hey, we're not all bad, but your system's broken. Like something is not right, obviously.
Right. Yeah. All right. So let's take a few seconds to get some questions in. And this is one question that's been sent in. I really like this one. So why do Black people use the N-word in their music and also to address each other?
That's a great question. I'm going to give you my answer, and I'm going to give you the voice of the Black community.
Okay.
Let me give you the perspective of the Black community. They'll tell you that it's our word. So we've taken something that was super negative and switched it to mean something not negative for us. So it's used as a term of endearment within the Black community.
And it's because it was in a negative connotation, basically. Is that right? Okay.
But also the reason why others can't use it is because it was used as a negative word.
Right.
We've taken it back and you can't have it back. That's the general consensus of the Black community.
I've never heard it explained that way. I like
the ones who use the word. Like it's take that back. My personal opinion, like I used to say it all the time. I used to say a lot of things all the time, but I don't anymore. I think the one thing that broke me from saying it is I watched the movie Django with Jamie Foxx, DJANGO. If you guys haven't seen it, it's a Quentin Tarantino movie about slavery. It's meant to be funny, but I just heard. Oh, have you ever heard of Django?
No, I put that on my list. I've never seen it.
The word, and Quentin Tarantino, I mean, he's if you know his movies, like, he's Quentin Tarantino. And they use that word so much in that movie, and it drove me insane. I think that was the time I was like, you know what, I can't say this anymore. I personally don't use it, but that's a lot of people feel like we've taken it back.
And there's power in that.
Yes.
There's power in that, So,
and it's usually it's meant as this is our word. This is like another word for like my brother, my friend, and it's never ER. It's the A ending.
I was literally about to ask about that. Okay. So, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Something that kind of just popped in my head. Now, when, it's sung in songs. So is that to say like that song is only like for Black people then? You know what I'm saying? Is that person just making music for the Black community?
I think some people would say that, yeah. But I think it's still, if you decide to sing the song, like, just don't say.
Oh, did you hear, I don't know, are you a Bachelor fan?
No, but I did hear about
Anna Brown.
Yes. And I think it's interesting though. I think, didn't she say that she doesn't usually say, or she didn't know what she was saying? Like, but here's the thing.
She literally slipped up on a TikTok live and was just like singing the song, and I was like,
that's the thing. She didn't slip up.
I didn't say it.
That's the thing. She didn't slip up. She's used to saying it. This
She's
is
said it
what she
before.
does. Because
Yeah.
if in her bedroom by herself, if she'd been censoring it, then she would have been conditioned to censor it. So when she gets on live in front of thousands of people, then she wouldn't say it. But it's never that people slip up. I don't think. Because no, it came out of your mouth because you're used to saying it.
Because you've said it
You
before.
just forgot where you were.
Exactly.
That's all that was.
Yeah. Okay. So I've never heard about this before, but why is it cultural appropriation if a woman who isn't Black gets braids or a weave, but it's perfectly fine for a Black woman to use relaxers to straighten hair?
I love this question. Whoever asked this question, I love you.
Really? Okay.
So yeah, cultural appropriation.
Mm-hmm.
And I sometimes have varying thoughts on this, and I know some people, not all Black people, will agree with me. I probably have some Black people listening to this, like, "Girl, what are you doing?" So here's the thing, though. With I'm big on natural hair, so for people that don't know,
Okay.
are you familiar with a relaxer?
I'm personally not. I don't know what that is.
So, I love this question. So, relaxers are basically, it's this chemical, almost like your perm.
Okay.
We use a perm to get curly hair. We use relaxers to get straight hair. There's a good documentary. I don't even know where it is now, but it's called Good Hair. Chris Rock actually made it.
Okay. Is it with damn it, what is her name? Where she's like super, super fancy and then all of a sudden like she loses her hair or something?
No, this is a Chris Rock documentary.
Oh.
And, yeah, he has daughters, and so he wanted to learn about Black hair.
Oh.
So he went on this journey to learn about Black hair. And so it really is a good job of talking about weave. It talks about relaxers and talks about all this. So when you think about it, back in the day, if we're being treated as though we're not beautiful, our hair is too kinky and too nappy, but white people, that's pretty, that's beautiful. So we need to be more like them. We need to have a form of beauty that mimics them. So that's why a lot of Black women straighten their hair in the beginning. That's what it was for, to straighten it, I think, to make it more manageable. But also, it's the idea that this European standard of beauty is it. And my kinky, curly, coarse texture of hair is not beautiful. It's not considered beautiful.
Okay.
So we have relaxers. It's this chemical. It's absolutely horrendous. There are Black people that love relaxers, and kudos to y'all that still use them. Yeah, great. I have not had a relaxer since, I want to say 2013. Yes, how long I've been natural. And so, like, our texture of hair is completely different. How we care for our hair is completely different. How often do you wash your hair?
Do I have to be honest? Like once or twice a week.
How often do most white people wash their hair?
Oh, girl, I don't know. I don't think that they're like, I have no idea. I guess what I have right now is like oil trained hair. So like I don't have a lot of oils. My hair, I just put dry shampoo in it and it's good. My sister, on the other hand, if she goes a day without washing her hair is super oily. So she washes every day.
Our hair is not naturally oily. It's the exact opposite. So we add oils to it.
Right.
Like literally, like especially natural people, like coconut oil, olive oil.
All the time,
huh? Give me all the moisture. And so a lot of Black people, we stopped using the relaxers and stopped straightening our hair. But that's still the idea of long, straight hair is better. That's been kind of the idea that a lot of us have prescribed to. A lot of times we use weave or we might dye blonde or whatever. It's still that idea that is the best. That is beauty.
Yeah. Makes sense.
It was recently when I started seeing natural hair in even like high fashion ads and stuff like that.
It's freaking gorgeous.
I think it is. I'm a little partial.
I just saw a girl on TikTok and she was like taking off her makeup and like pulling out her I believe she had a wig on. And she was like, I'm so embarrassed of my face. And I was like, you look better without makeup. Like, she had the most prettiest freckles ever. I'm like, you don't understand. People are like painting and tattooing those on right now. Like, you're gorgeous, you know, like it was a huge thing. And everybody in her comment section was literally like, you are so beautiful without all that. So it was awesome to see her being lifted up like that. But
Good.
I never understood that was a thing. That, you know.
So we went through this whole movement, I feel like, as a culture, where we were starting to embrace our natural hair. So I don't know if you've ever seen like black hair in its true form. It's tightly curly, like to the point where, like, if you shed hair, it's just a circle. Like, it's a tight little circle. That's it. And so we went through this whole transition of, let me embrace my hair. There's been some people that have had like locks or dreadlocks for years before this even happened, but as a whole, we went through this whole transition time. So it's just interesting when we have cornrows or braids or whatever, it's seen as, oh, that's too ethnic, that's too black, that's not professional.
What?
But then somebody can go, I'm about to step on some toes. Somebody can go, and I might step on yours. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Fine.
Somebody can go on vacation to an island and pay someone to put braids in their hair because it's cool and it's cultural, when they would never do that here. And it's seen as like this cool thing, but like for us, it's a way of life sort of thing. So it's like, we can't professionally or successfully wear our natural native hairstyles and it be accepted. But now someone else wants to take them and make them this cool thing. Like it's a trend. It's a fad kind of thing. So that's kind of where that comes from. Like, when we use it, we're shunned.
Okay.
Like, I think the military did they just lift the ban on dreadlocks and braids and stuff?
I don't know.
I mean, even today, there are students, like in Texas, I think, is it this year or last year? I mean, it happens all the time, where they're asking these students, there was a high school student about to graduate, and the school system said, you can't graduate until you cut your hair, because it goes against our dress code.
Dang.
I mean, that's recent. That's recent.
Really interesting.
Yeah, states are coming out with laws saying, okay, we're not going to discriminate against you anymore. You can wear your hair how you want to. But when someone else wears it, it's okay. It's cool.
That's insane to me. And I think that's just like people say like racism is dead and it's not around. I've seen that post before. And then you say something like that, and it's just like, they must not, they not listening, are they?
If you just don't see it, if you just, and I need to figure out where this quote is, but it talks about proximity. If it's not something that's directly close to you, you're probably going to use it.
Right.
And I think the other thing about white privilege, like, I'm not mad at you that you can go into a drugstore and find concealer that matches perfectly with your skin. That doesn't make me mad. It's just, it is what it is. So I'm not blaming you for it. I'm not, it's just, this is society.
Yeah. I appreciate you saying that, because I don't speak for all white people, but sometimes I'm just like, when I hear these things, especially this week, I'm just like, well, my thought process, and I'm going to call myself out again. I've changed my wording to, well, that's not fair. But then I think, well, that was really stupid for you to say, because they haven't had it fair for God knows how long. But my new thought process is, well, I can't change that right now. But what can I do? And what can I do right now is to use this to open up. And before,
just to be aware that it's a thing. Yeah.
Right. And I've had my own personal guilt this week in particular, because at first, when I never thought that silence meant I didn't care. I never knew that was a thing. And that's when I was like, oh, heck no. Like, people need to know, number one, I care. And number two, I'm on their side, and so that's when I started, being very, very vocal. And my thought process is that this is going to die down again. And how do you keep talking about it? You know what I'm saying? And then also another thing that, and I don't want to make this about me or anything like that. My thought is, how do I keep sharing and still talk about what I'm here to talk about, which for me and my platform and my brand and stuff like that is about, you know, health and fitness and taking care of your body and those types of things. And I want to talk about those, but at the same time, it's like, this is such a big conversation. Like, this needs to be heard too. And I don't ever want to, you know, take away from that conversation, but at the same time, I don't want to stop serving my audience. So finding that happy medium without feeling bad that I've changed the subject all of a sudden, because I don't want that to be on the back burner, you know? I guess that's not really a question there, but just kind of like navigating where the hell to go from here. Like, you know, I've seen a lot of people, and it's opened my eyes. They did Blackout Tuesday. Then that was it. They're like, okay, I care. I'm done. That's how I see it. And I'm just like, okay, well, one day didn't change a damn thing, honestly.
Right. And I understand that feeling, because even in my, on my page, like, I just finished this really freaking awesome 21-day cleanse.
Yes.
And I was so excited for the following week and like the weeks to come, and how I was going to navigate this new mindset that I had, and all that I was going to share all these things, and I've been enlightened, all this stuff. And then boom, George Floyd. Yeah. And it's just like, I don't even feel right continuing. Like, I know life continues, life has to go on. Yeah. But at the same time, I do feel like this needs so much of my attention. So as a Black person who has a platform, it's that, and I know people that watch my stories are kind of like, all right, the people who maybe don't care as much are probably like, okay, I think we get it. But I think learning how to do both, because you can do both. I think. I think maybe just talking about the things that you usually talk about, but adding in the things that you've learned. Maybe just like one thing that you learned. Yeah. So I think it's helpful to keep seeing it. I understand that people are probably getting tired of it, but also, like, I'm tired of living it. Yeah. Yeah. And I liked what you said about how people are like, okay, go on already. But then it's like, my thought process when I hear that, when I hear you say that, is, and those aren't your people. At the end of the day, like, that's not people you need to associate with anyways, because if they're tired of hearing about it, that like, honest, I promise you, like, we're more tired of living it than people are tired of hearing about it. I can't even imagine. Like, this is my life. Like, I can't just take the skin off and hang it up at the end of the day. Like, this is my life. This is my lived experience. So trying to figure out a way to have, but still have joy. Try to figure out how to show joy and be joyful and enjoy life. But at the same time, I'm just very aware that all this is happening. And I've been vocal about this for years, but trying to figure out how I can still educate people, but for me, part of my whole platform, because they encourage us to really talk about things that matter to us and make that your platform. Being Black has always been my platform. So when, like with my hair, when I talk about my hair journey, for those of you, some of you can't see my hair. So I have what people call dreadlocks. Most Black women will call them locks. Most men aren't going to care, but we call them dreadlocks because the word dread, and there's nothing dreadful about our hair. Oh, okay. Yeah. So I've been on a hair journey. Like, I started out in 2013. My hair was super short, like an inch or whatever. Yes. Long. And then now I don't even know how, bra strap length. So long. Almost. And so I've enjoyed talking about that journey. Like, that's part of being Black. That's part of being me. I've learned so much from that. And like, when you talked about it, I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. Like, wait, you showed like twists one time, and I was like, that's so cool. I freaking love your hair. I'm so obsessed. I love your locks. I'm obsessed too. I love it. I really, really do. And the fact that for years I wouldn't do it, like, I was afraid to even go natural because of the things that people say.
Louise.
Yeah. And even the first time I realized that our hair was different, I was going on a field trip, and my best friend in elementary school was white. Hey, Sherry, if you're listening. And Siri thought I was talking to her, not talking to you. I said Sherry, not Siri. We were talking about what we're going to pack. It was an overnight trip. I think it was one of the nights. And we were talking about what we were packing. And she goes, well, I'll bring the shampoo. And I'm like, why are you bringing shampoo? We're going to be gone for a night. And she was like, you don't wash your hair every night? I'm like, no. Why would I do that? I didn't realize people did that. I knew that was
so
and I realized.
That's awesome. Yeah. I didn't realize you guys didn't wash your hair every day. I mean, I don't just put them on me.
At one point in my journey, when we call it a loose natural, so I had a fro. Every 2 weeks.
You washed?
Every 2 weeks. No more than every 2 weeks.
Dang, that's awesome.
I didn't have to, I don't have oil buildup. If anything, our hair is naturally dry, and it soaks up stuff like a sponge. So we're constantly adding. Some people now, there are some Black people that at least put water through their hair more than that, but most of us, I'm not even going to tell you when the last time I washed my locks. We won't even, but like we just don't have to.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to pull up the next question here. If anybody wants to, after hearing this episode, you can kind of go over to my Facebook, Sarah Brooke Burke. You guys probably have the link, and you can check out some of the conversation that's happening over here, because there is a lot going on. And what I'm talking about is that I made a post before this asking my friends if they had any questions for a Black person, even if they're uncomfortable. And there's definitely some conversation. Some of it I don't quite understand, but we'll just, one of the things that was asked was movies that you recommend and books. We did talk about that. What privilege do I have that they don't? And we kind of talked about that. One
more privilege that I forgot about. So there's quite a few.
There's a lot.
I think there are people who think that because I'm pretty articulate, I have a bachelor's degree, that I love musicals. I was a chorus geek. I think some people may not look at me and think that I've gone through anything, or that I have any thoughts that continue to play in my head. I was at this forum one time, and they were asking us, have any of you been followed in a store? I personally never. I can't remember ever being followed in a store. I know it happens. And so one person said, I've never been followed in a store, but I am always aware when I go into a store not to make it look like I'm stealing anything. And I was like, well, duh, I do that all the time. Like I consciously make sure people know I'm not stealing anything. I don't go into my purse very much. If I do, like I might step out to an open area and make sure people see there's nothing around me. I might put my phone in my back pocket so that's easily accessible. So it doesn't look like I'm rummaging through my purse, or I might put it in a certain pocket. And this is a lot to think about. This is a lot that every single time. When I go into a restaurant, sometimes for work, we work with very rural counties, very rednecky counties, as we would say. And so I'm constantly thinking, number one, am I the only Black person here? And number two, how are they perceiving me? Is anyone looking at me weird? Do they look racist? And I'm basing that in air quotes, like the typical, you have the look. Sometimes people have a look almost. I know that might sound stereotypical, but like, are you looking at me like you hate me? Are you looking at me like you're suspicious of me? And there's all these things that are playing in my head when I enter into really any place, but specifically if it's somewhere in the deep country, because I am in the South. So if you don't have to ever think about that, you have privilege. Right.
That makes sense. This question, why can't they disrespect our police force and think nothing should happen?
I don't really know how to answer that.
I don't know either. I don't think that anything. I
think first to put us all in a category of why do they think? Erica Harris knows that if you disrespect police, something's going to happen.
I don't think that if you disrespect police that anything should happen. If you are breaking the law, but disrespecting police isn't breaking the law. That's two very different things. If a white person disrespects the police, they disrespect the police. If the black person disrespects the police, they disrespect the police. That's allowed. You're allowed to do that. You're not allowed to break the law.
Might be different. The consequence might be different for a black person.
Yeah.
But I don't think we all think, let's all disrespect the police and we're all gonna get away with it. Or
I don't think that's I
have the right to, because you oppress me, so I have this right. I don't know if people think that.
This one right here kind of threw me off, and I kind of asked her about it. Do you personally know black men and women in the military and on the force? I know I personally do, so I don't know what she was trying to get at there.
Yeah, I think what they're getting at, I could be completely wrong. But like I know when the whole Kaepernick protest happened, there are different perspectives from military. And so, yeah, I do know military. My best friend used to be in the Air Force, and of all the black veterans that I know, none of them disagree with Kaepernick. None of them think that he was wrong for disrespecting the flag. But if you were to ask maybe a white vet, then they have a different opinion. So maybe that's what they were getting at. But I do know veterans. My grandfather was Korean War vet. I don't know any police officers. I don't think any black police officers. And I feel, honestly, right now, I feel really bad for them. Like, I feel sorry that they have it really bad right now.
I can't imagine. So this person is asking, as a white woman, am I wrong in your eyes to teach my children not to see color, or what is the happy medium? And we kind of talked about that a little bit.
Yeah. Don't teach them not to see color. Teach them to see color and celebrate it. And celebrate people who are different from you. Buy them books with black children in it.
Yeah, and black baby dolls, right? And Barbies. Yeah. Normalize it. It shouldn't be any different, correct?
Right. That's the thing, though, with us. Like, I remember my mom specifically buying me black Barbie dolls because I needed that representation.
Right.
In the I don't know if you remember the My Buddy dolls?
I don't think I remember those.
Like, we had black ones.
Right.
We had, so I think definitely expose your children to blackness, to black culture. Don't teach them not to see color, though.
Right.
Brown is nice.
So this kind of goes hand in hand, but another girl is asking, how do we even begin to address this in the best way possible to young children, as in 3.5? I've tried, but I still feel like I don't know the right words, and I'm failing with the discussion.
Yeah, I just saw on my newsfeed before we started the call is that someone's child had somehow saw this video of this little black girl saying, talking about being hated because of the color of her skin. And I think the parent wanted to be the one to talk about this with their child first, but this is the first introduction to racism that their child is getting. And that was sad. I think expose them. I think just expose them to blackness, to black children. I think books with black children, it would be great. But I think talking to them and just, I don't know, I wish, do you remember Gullah Gullah Island?
Yes.
Like, I wish that show was still here.
Yes. I love that.
But yeah, I think books, buying your children books.
Yeah.
And that's been a new thing. I don't think I had books. I'm sure I had, but it's a much bigger thing now to have books with, like whenever Bill Cosby made the Little Bill book, like that was cute.
Oh my gosh, I love Little Bill.
So yeah, definitely children's books for kids would be a really good idea.
I like that. I want to ask you, what do you want the biggest takeaway to be from this?
I think with George Floyd's death, I think the thing that has stood out to me the most, it's been two things really. It's been how many people are opening their eyes to what's happening, and they're willing to do the work, to watch the documentaries, to watch the movies. I would veer more on the side of watching the documentaries because they're real. I mean,
Yeah.
the movies are good and they're good depictions of what's really happening, but to see facts and to see like what's actually happening,
Mm-hmm.
to go back and look at these stories and these news headlines. Like I almost forgot about the black boy that was found, I think in was in the gym, he was rolled up in a wrestling mat with his organs taken out, and they deemed
What?
it suicide. They deemed it suicide. Like this, like people who are willing to learn about this stuff. It's shocking, I know.
Jeez Louise.
I forgot. Or the little boy, the youngest person to be put to death in the U.S. was a little black boy. He was accused of doing something inappropriate with a white woman, if I'm not mistaken. Go research it. I think he was 11. He could have been younger than that.
Oh, wow.
But they electrocuted him. And then recently, I want to say in 2014, maybe, they finally declared his innocence. And this happened like years ago. So like little stuff like people to realize that things like this happen. And this is way before we had, cameras and stuff.
Right.
And to think about like the whole Band-Aid theory, if the whole Band-Aid theory can be like that, what else is like that?
Right.
So there are people who are just opening their eyes and realizing all this stuff is really happening. They're willing to do all the work.
Sure.
They hurt with us. I'm not happy that you hurt.
Right.
It feels nice that someone is getting it and it's hurting with us.
Yeah. Recognizing it.
Yeah. So there's those people, but then there's the people that what really breaks my heart when I see people that I went to school with, whether it be high school or college, that I just went to college with, who aren't listening.
Yeah.
Like the person that called me racist, they've been watching my stories every day for a while now, and they're still not listening. I can explain All Lives Matter versus Black Lives Matter. I can explain to you how I hurt. You can see me crying because I just watched this video. You can listen to me give lessons, but you still aren't listening. And then a lot of those people are just being very divisive in what they say on social media. Mm-hmm. So I want people to think about, which person are you? Are you the person who is going to really see this for what it is and realize that we're not making this up? Like this is, and look up. Another quick thing I want people to look up that isn't in the textbooks. Juneteenth is Juneteenth. Juneteenth. Most Black people don't really celebrate the 4th of July. We weren't free. We were not free. That's a day to go eat out and have a cookout. That's not our holiday. We weren't even free then. And then Black Wall Street, or the Tulsa race riots. That kind of stuff that's not in the textbook. When people are agreeing to research those and be willing to open up their minds, are you that person, or are you a person that's still angry at the fact that we're begging to be heard? So just pick your side of history.
I love that.
Which side of history will you be on?
That is such a great point. One of the things that I've also seen kind of going around that was really beautifully put was, everybody has a role right now. It's some of these people are using their platforms to amplify melanated voices, and that was freaking awesome. And some of the people are protesting, and some of the people are handing out medical aids at the protest, and some of the people are donating money. And so we all have like these different roles here, and it's okay whatever role you're in, because you're still supporting it, but it's just pick your role. And I I obviously can't speak for the Black community at all, but one of the things, I can post and I can post and I can post and pray that people are seeing and doing what they need to do, right? But one of the things also, I hope that, if you are staying silent, that you are doing something behind the scenes, whatever it is, whether you're educating yourself because you don't know what to say. And that's kind of like my next question for you. I know we kind of talked about it a little bit, but for the people that don't know what to say, what do you want them to do? What can we do? What can white people do right now, other than just educate themselves? In the notes section of this podcast, I'm going to write down all these documentaries, and I'll put some links for some good places to donate, if they can donate, and all that really good stuff there for education. But if they are staying silent, what is something that you hope they're getting out of this? What is one thing that they can do?
I do want to reiterate something I said before, is that in the beginning, I was really adamant about telling people, speak up. You see this, speak up. And I would be upset. It would hurt that there was silence. But now I do realize people don't know what to say, and people are just kind of stunned. So for my Christians out there, I'm going to tell you to pray on it. I just did a prayer. I just co-led a prayer call earlier this week. And I used this whole analogy about how there was a shepherd who had 100 sheep, and then one was lost, so he went and found left the 99 to get the one. He took action. That was his action. He took, and so I urged them to pray about what you should do. Pray for the Black community, but pray for what your actions should be. And so I do realize that not everyone is going to speak out. But I do also think it's important to think about how that is perceived, because perception is reality. In some cases. And so as to think about, for years, people have been silent for years. And then every time we see it happen, we think, are y'all going to speak up for us? Do y'all see this? Are anybody listening, and all this stuff? So just to understand, I get that it might be hard. I think too, some people don't speak out because people will lash out. I have seen some people speak out about it, and their Facebook friends will come and tear them apart. I don't understand that, because they don't understand. And I guess my one big thing would be to just, educate yourself, because it's hard to have a effective communication on the subject if you don't understand systemic racism and don't get that it's an actual thing. Like, it's literally embedded in, think our country was built on slaves. It was built on the back of slaves. Like, it's built into everything that we have. So I think just to continue to educate, have conversations with people. But if you feel strongly that you're doing everything you can behind the scenes and you're not comfortable with speaking out yet, don't feel pressured to speak. And also, specifically to Black people listening to this, I'm done begging people to speak up. It's draining. And they may not be in a place right now where they want to speak up. I don't know what they're going to do later. I don't know. But like, it's literally draining. Because it could be that person who really feels strongly about it, but just they don't have the words. I don't know that. I think it's important from both sides. See how it's perceived, and see how it makes people feel. But also, you do what you need to do to realize that this thing is real, and do whatever you can, whether that's educating yourself, whether that's having conversations. But one more big thing. Whenever you're sitting around your family table and someone makes a comment about a Black person, or whether it's about their hair, about those thugs or something, an overgeneralized comment, don't just laugh. I had a friend one time tell me, well, they're not my friend anymore, but I had a friend tell me, we're not friends now because of this, but she told me, well, you and so are the only Black people my dad likes.
Oh.
This was like, I was out of college. This is like 2012, 2013. And I wonder, like, did you speak up for me? Or did you say, well, Dad, that's not right? Or like, what was that conversation like? Did you just sit there? And I know a lot of older people, they still use bad or old outdated terminology. Do your grandparents still use the N-word around you? Or do they still say colored? Do you let it slide? Or do you buck up to your don't buck up to grandma, you know, be respectful. I think there's a lot of little things that happen kind of behind closed doors that millennials and people my age have the ability to change.
Right. I love that. One thing that just kind of came into my mind was for the people who say they don't know what to say, what do you want them to say?
I want you to speak from your heart. Whatever it is that people have literally said, I haven't said anything because I haven't known what to say.
I'm one of those people.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I was like, okay, I guess I need to talk about this because I don't want them to think that I don't care, because that's not true at all. So
yeah, there are so many genuine people who are not racist, who love me, and it's maybe took them a while to say something for whatever reason. It doesn't make them racist. It hurt to an extent, but I've seen so many people say, you know what, I haven't known what to say. I've been silent, but here's what I know. And then they just speak from the heart what they know. We're not expecting you to say something specific. There's no script. There's no, and just like when people ask me about what books to read, just find one. If you want to say something, just say something. It doesn't have to be, there's no script out there. No black wording police. Are you going to say this right?
Yeah. I thank you for saying that. So we'll probably end it here, but I want to just take a minute and not only thank you, like I said at the beginning, thank you for this. This was such a beautiful conversation. And like I said, I wish I was there to like truly just embrace you and
I know.
Take away everything right now. But also I want to apologize myself, and I know I'm going to get emotional because I'm always emotional, but I never realized that my silence was hurting. And now that my eyes are open, they're open, and I stand with you, and I will hold your hand right next to you and go wherever it is you need me to go. But from the bottom of my heart. Yes.
Let's stay in the back so we don't get hit by.
Yeah, I'm good with that. One
more quick thing. There's a quote by Angela Davis. I'm probably gonna mess it up a little bit, but it's not enough to be. It's not enough to not be racist. Yeah, you have to be anti-racist. So
couldn't agree more.
Think of ways. How can you be anti? And it's not that I need you to scream, "Hey, look at me! I'm not racist."
Right.
But it needs to be clear. Be anti this system. And just like there's some posts that are just like fluffy. Yeah. Like I think we're just going through such troubled times, and I just think we just all bound together. How can you call out racism though? Can we do that?
One of the things on my post was, can we all just love each other? And it's like, yes. I mean, that is ideal.
That's what we've been trying to do for the past 400 years.
Yeah, but this is not happening is the problem. Right. It's not black people against whites.
It's everybody against racism.
Yes.
And one more point. I see a lot of people saying that, well, this isn't a race issue. It's a heart issue. It's a hate issue. It's a heart issue. Where does racism come from? Where does it fester? It festers in the heart.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to call it, if you're going to call out hate, you might as well call out the specific kind of hate that it is.
I love it. Well, thank you once again.
Thank
If
you.
everybody wants to check out Miss Erica, she is on Facebook and Instagram. I will tag her and I will put all of this amazing documentaries and books and places to donate in the show notes. Please check it out. Please check it out. And
Yes.
also, let's please give Erica a huge thank you for taking a
Aww.
long time out of her night to come on here and educate us. And it is just so appreciated.
You're so welcome. I had nowhere else to go.